Hey, well on everybody. Today we're going to be learning Claude 101, connecting your tools. So let me share my screen and make us start this. So I'll go down here and I'll do my entire screen. Share. Cool. See when that happens. All right. So again, so the topic for today, or what we're going to be reading, is connecting your tools from the Claude 101. I'll add the link in the description, but let's get to it. So the learning objective from this is we'll be able to explain what connectors are and why they matter for your work with Claude. We'll also be able to navigate the connectors directory and set up your first connection. Use connected tools effectively in your conversations with Claude. All right. All right. So now I guess the main thing is, what are connectors? Connectors transform Claude from an assistant into an informed collaborator by giving Claude access to the same tools, data, and context that that you use every day. Instead of starting every conversation from scratch, Claude can work directly with your actual information. All right, cool. I'm run that back one more time, at least the bold part. So connectors transform Claude from an assistant to an informed collaborator by giving Claude access to the same tools, data, and context that you use every day. Instead of starting every conversation from scratch, Claude can work directly with your actual information. All right. So connectors allow Claude to read information and perform actions on your behalf. Depending on the connector and permissions you grant, Claude can search your files, retrieve documents, analyze data, create new content, update records, and execute tasks across your connected applications, all from within your conversation. So I've used connectors before. So an example of a connector is like you could connect Claude up to like Canva, and then like you could like describe the type of thumbnail you want to make, and pretty much it will connect to the Canva website to use some of my tools to build it out. So that is tough. I've used this. And then instead the other one is MCP, or better, the Model Context Protocol powers connectors. Think of MCP like USB-C for AI, a universal standard that allows Claude to connect to many different applications through a single consistent interface. So we use MCP to use our connectors. It just sound right. This open standard means developers can build connectors for any tool, and those connectors work seamlessly with Claude. We are going to read that back. So it's a MCP powers connectors. All right. So if you use connectors, you use an MCP. Think of MCP like USB-C for AI. All right. A universal standard that allows Claude to connect to many different applications through a single consistent interface. This open standard means developers can build connectors for any tool, and those connectors work seamlessly with Claude. There are two types of connectors: web connectors and desktop extensions. Web connectors like Claude, or web connectors link Claude to cloud services like Google, Drive, Notion, Slack, and Asana. Desktop extensions run locally on your computer through the Claude desktop, giving Claude access to local files and native applications. So you have web connectors and you have desktop extensions. All right. Finding and connecting tools. Anthropic maintains a directory of recommended connectors at Cloud AI directory. The directory is organized into two tabs: web and desktop applications. All right. So there are two type of connectors I keep track of: web and desktop extensions. All right. For web, it's like cloud services and applications like Gmail, Notion, Slack, Asana, Linear, Stripe, and many more. Everybody keeps talking about Notion. I'm gonna test out Notion to just use that out a bit. All right, there's also the desktop extensions, which are local tools that run on your computer through the Cloud Desktop app. All right, so run that again. So Anthropic maintains a directory of recommended connectors at Cloud AI/directory. Directory is organized into two tabs: web and desktop. Web are the cloud services and applications like Gmail, Notion, Slack, Asana. All right. Desktop extensions are local tools that run on your computer through Claude Desktop app. To browse available connectors, you can click the plus button in the lower left of the chat window, then select connectors. All right, might as well check it out. So let's go over to our DESA, and we can just hide Chia, hit plus, and yeah. So I already have some connectors in here. I have Adobe Creativity, All Trails, Canva. Honestly, don't really use All Trails. I'm planning to, but yeah, planning to. And then I guess this could just hit add connectors there, and just add in pretty much any other connector that you want. And this is a Notion one that I'm saying, let me just add this. Oh, it looks like I'm gonna have to make an account and all that. I don't got time for that right now. I'll do that off screen. So yeah. All right, so let's jump back to our reading. Oh, all right. Let me just check over there. So hey, when that happens. Let me just pop the chat. Pop out chat. Yeah. Cool. All right. So now setting up a web connector. Here's how to connect a cloud service. All right. Find the connector, navigate to cloud.ai directory, or click plus, and then connectors. We just did that. Click connect, select the connector you want to add. It authenticate. That's what Notion was about to do, but didn't really have time for that. You'll be redirected. So during authentication, you'll be redirected to the services login page. Sign in with your existing credentials, grant permissions, review the specific permissions Claude is requesting, then authorize access. Return to Claude and try a simple request like, can you access my Canva or Notion? All right. Once connected, Claude can search, read, and in some cases take actions within that service, depending on the permissions you've granted. So like I was saying, like if you connect the Canva connector, if you use a Canva connector, then you can like literally start talking to Claude and just say, oh, make me a YouTube thumbnail based on whatever, you know? All right, desktop extensions. Desktop extensions require the Claude desktop app rather than the web interface. These extensions let Claude interact with local applications, your file system, and native features on macOS or Windows. Some desktop extensions include local file access for reading and organizing documents, browser control for automated web tasks, native application integration like Figma for design work. To install a desktop extension, download and install the Claude desktop app. Open the app and navigate to Settings, Extensions, browse available extensions, and click Install. Let's do that now. Settings and then Extensions. Here. All right, and then we can hit Browse Extensions. And these are some additional extensions. Need to test out this one, Blender. That's for like making 3D models. Used that years ago. Didn't even know they got one for this now. All right, cool. And let's go back to our reading. All right, using connectors in your work. All right, let's just read it again, just to cement that. So desktop extensions require the Cloud desktop app rather than the web interface. Okay. These extensions let Claude interact with local applications, your file system, and native features on macOS or Windows. Some desktop extensions include local file access for reading and organizing documents, browser control for automated web tasks. I guess that's why I have Chrome connected there. Native application integration like Figma for design work. To install a desktop extension, download and install Claude Desktop app. And if you haven't done this yet, I do have a video up on how to install Claude Desktop. Open the app and navigate to Settings, Extensions, browse available extensions, and click Install like we just did, and pretty much just follow the setup instructions. Using connectors in your work. Once you've connected your tools, Claude considers them when responding to your requests. Here are some practical ways to use connected tools. Project management. All right. Project management like Asana, Linear, Jira. What are my highest priority tasks due to this week? Create a new task for reviewing the QR budget proposal, summarize the status of your product launch project, and there are also communication connectors. So find the email thread where we discuss the vendor contract, draft a reply to the latest message in the dash mark in the marketing channel. What did the team decide about the timeline in yesterday's discussion? Documentation, Notion again, gotta definitely use that. Search our documentation. So you get the idea. So it's different ones, etc. All right, so based on what you're trying to do. So they're saying for business tools, the popular ones would be Stripe, PayPal, or Salesforce. An example of something you could say is show me revenue trends for the past quarter. One for documentation, which is similar to which would be used for like Notion, Google Drive, or Confluence. Search or documentation for brand voice guidelines. And then for communication, Slack. And there's one where you can say draft a reply to the latest message in the marketing channel. Cool. Security and permissions. When you connect Claude to external services, you're granting it access to read and sometimes modify data within those services, sorry. Here are some important considerations. Scoped access. Permissions are specific to what the connector needs, and you can toggle individual permissions on and off within each applications. Claude sees what you see. Claude can only access the data you have access to. Yeah, Claude can only access the data you have access to. And connecting your work email doesn't give Claude access to your CEO's inbox, only your own. Yeah, makes sense. Revocable at any time. You can disconnect a service through Claude settings or through the third party services security settings. Just as with skills, you can also find or build custom connectors. Exercise the same caution, only install connectors from trusted sources. All right, so we kind of reach the bottom here. They're just asking for reflection and what's next. But I feel like I want to do one more run through of this. All right. So, what are connectors? Connectors transform Claude from an assistant into an informed collaborator by giving Claude access to the same tools, data, and context that you use every day. Instead of starting every conversation from scratch, Claude can work directly within your actual information. All right. Connectors allow Claude to read information and perform actions on your behalf. Okay. MCP, or specifically Model Context Protocol, powers connectors. Think of MCP like USB-C for AI. So you use MCP. That's like the method you use to use it to connect up your connectors. So think of MCP like USB-C for AI, a universal standard that allows Claude to connect to many different applications through a single consistent interface. All right. This open standard means developers can build connectors for any tool, and those connectors work seamlessly with Claude. There are two types of connectors: web connectors and desktop extensions. Web connectors like Claude to cloud services. Oh, web connectors link Claude to cloud services like Google Drive, Notion, Slack, and Asana. All right. Desktop extensions run locally on your computer through the Claude desktop app, giving Claude access to local files and native applications. All right. Anthropic maintains a directory of recommended connectors at Claude AI. That directory. The directory is organized into two tabs: web and desktop extensions. I kind of went over that already. And it goes over setting up a web connector. So, all right, so it's a oh, okay. So for web connectors, I guess yeah. So for web connectors, what we have to do is find the connector. So navigate to Claude AI directory or click plus connectors in any chat. All right, plus click connect, select the connector you want to add, authenticate. So web connectors are if you're doing it through the web, and then desktop is if you're doing it pretty much. Okay. Click connect, select the connector you want to add. Authenticate. Yeah, people add in the comments if we're getting that right. So they're saying hello, excuse me. Oh, hey. Somebody just joined the chat, just saying what up to them. Hey. All right. Once connected, Claude can search, read, and in some cases take actions within that services, depending on the permissions you've granted. Cool, cool, cool. Desktop extensions require the Claude desktop app rather than the web interface. All right, these extensions like Claude interact with local applications, your file system, and native features on macOS or Windows. All right, so using connectors in your work, there are connectors for project management like Asana, Linear, and Jira. There are also connectors for communications, which are like Slack or Gmail, and then you have documentation, business tools, etc. Now, for security permissions, when you connect Claude to external services, you're granting it access to read and sometimes modify data within those services. Here are some important considerations. Scoped access. So I guess limiting the access where you're giving it. So permissions are specific to what the connector needs, and you can toggle individual permissions on and off within each application's menu. Claude sees what you see. Claude can only access data you have access to. Connecting your work email doesn't give Claude access to CEO's inbox. Revocable at any time. You can disconnect a service through Claude settings or through the third-party services security settings, just as with skills. You can also find or build custom connectors. Exercise the same caution. Cool. All right. So that's kind of what we did for this is our review for pretty much connecting your tools. If you have any comments in the chat, definitely just add a comments. Right here is just telling us what's next, which will be enterprise search. And then there's some feedback here. So let's hit next. All right. So in the next video, we're pretty much going to go over this one, which is focusing more on enterprise search. But let's just test our appetite a bit. So let's just see what exactly enterprise search is, just a preview for the next one. So enterprise search adds a dedicated ask, whatever your company name is, option to your sidebar. This is designed specifically for finding and synthesizing. Okay, for finding and synthesizing knowledge buried across your company's tools and data sources. Think of enterprise search as a pre-built project for your entire organization. Your company's knowledge base is already loaded, so you can jump right into get context aware. So you can jump right in to get context aware responses to your questions. Unlike regular chats with connectors enabled, search is specifically designed for information gathering using custom instructions configured by Anthropic team. All right. All right, cool. We'll dive more into that, but it sounds like it's just pretty much for enterprise search. And correct me if I'm wrong. It's like a Claude that's built, or basically a Claude project that's built around your company's pretty much info, your company's data, and the employees can just ask it and like based on the information that they've added about the company, yeah, you can get a suitable response. At least that's the context I'm getting. We'll read more about this chapter in the next video. We'll have a better understanding. But for now, yeah, stick around. And if you like this, just like, comment, share. And yo, remember the motto, anyone can learn anything with time, practice, and failures. All right, it's the Nerdy Yardy, and I'm out.